How's it, grade 11s? We're continuing with timelines, working from slides 36 to 37 from the finance PowerPoint. Okay, so again, I'm just going to read out the question to you and then we can talk about what we're doing here. All right, so it says, Pravin borrows 60,000 Rand to pay his undergraduate degree. After 3 years, he decides to borrow further 25,000 in order to complete an honors degree. So an honors degree is 4 years, which lasts an extra year. How much does he owe when he completes his studies if the lending rate was 9.1% per annum compounded quarterly for the first 2 years and then 8.9% compounded semi-annually thereafter? All right, so let's start putting some information on our timeline here. Now, as you can see, I've made it, so this would be T0, T1, T2, T3, T4. I've made it 4 because an honors degree is 4 years. Okay, so initially he takes out 60,000 Rand. All right. It goes on to say, after 3 years, he decides to borrow a further 25,000. So after 3 years, which is T3, he decides to borrow another 25,000 for his honors year. Okay. It goes on to say that the rate was 9.1% compounded quarterly for the first 2 years. So let's mark that down. So over here, we've got from here to here is 9.1% per annum, and it's compounded quarterly from that period to that period. Then it goes on to say that it then changes to 8.9% compounded semi-annually thereafter. So from here to here, it is now changed to 8.9% per annum, and this is compounded semi-annually. Okay. Right, because this is like an investment borrowing type of thing, we are going to use the compound formula. So we're going to be using A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the power of N. Okay, so let's look at each one individually, just like I did the other day. So we're going to look at the 60,000, work it out throughout this time period with the different interest rates, and then with the 25,000 for that period at that one interest rate. And we want to work out the accumulated amount. How much does he owe after all of this? So A is going to be equal to, so I'm going to look at this one first. It's the 60,000, that's our P. 1 plus, now our interest rate is going to be from here to here for that time period at 9.1%. So we're going to convert that 9.1% into a decimal. So you just go 9.1 divided by 100 and you get 0.0991 over. And it's compounded quarterly. So compounded quarterly, we need to divide our interest rate by 4. Now, how many time periods is this going on for? 1, 2. Okay, and I'm only going up to here because from here it changes to something else. So 2 time periods there, so that's 2 times 4 because it's compounded quarterly. Now, it changes over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my interest part of this formula, not the principal. The principal is already there. I'm only going to be working with this interest bit, so it's going to be 1 plus. Now I'm going to change my interest rate to this 8.9%. Okay, so again, we go 8.9 divided by 100 to get it into the decimal, and you get 0.089. And we need to divide that now. It's semi-annually, so semi-annually is 2. And how many time periods is this going on for? 1, 2. So it'll be 2 times 2 for the semi-annual, okay? So let's just go through this again. We've got our 60,000, which we borrowed, or this person borrowed initially. That is the interest rate for this time period there. Then it changes. And then this part here is the interest rate for that bit there. Okay. Now let's work with this 25,000. So I'm just going to add on. Now our 25,000 is going to be a new one. So our P is 25,000. 1 plus. Our interest rate is this 8.9. You see it falls within that red bit there. So that's going to be 0.089 divided by, it's semi-annually, so it's 2. And how many time periods is this going on for? It's going on for 1 time period. So that's going to be 1 times 2 because it's semi-annually. Okay, so and that is it. Now what we can do is we can just plug everything onto the calculator and get an answer. So we've got 60,000, 1 plus 0.091 over 4 to the power of 2 times 4 is 8. Then another bracket, 1 plus 0.089 over 2 to the power of 2 times 2 is 4. Now we're going to add on this bit, 25,000, 1 plus 0.089 over 2 to the power of 1 times 2 is 2 equals. Okay, so we get here 112,769 Rand. And remember, round it off to 2 decimal places because it's money. So that's going to give us 5. All right, guys, and that's how we do that one. Moving on to the next one. Example 4. Okay, so I'm going to read it out to you. It goes on to say that 50,000 is invested in an account which offers 8% per annum interest compounded quarterly for the first 18 months. The interest then changes to 6% per annum compounded monthly. 2 years after the money is invested, 10,000 is withdrawn. How much will be in the account after 4 years? Okay, so it's going up to 4 years. So we've got T1, T2, T3, T4. All right, now let's start filling some of the information in our timeline. 50,000 is invested. So that's our start off bit, 50,000. Okay. It goes on to say that the interest was 8% interest compounded quarterly for the first 18 months. Now, our timeline is in years. 1 year, 2, 3, 4 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert that 18 months into years. Now, to convert anything or months into years, you just divide it by 12. So we say 18 divided by 12, and we get 1.5 years. So 1.5 years is over there. Okay, so that's T1.5 over there. And it says to us that the interest rate from the beginning to 18 months or 1.5 years is 8%. So we've got here 8% per annum, and it is compounded quarterly. Okay. It then goes on to say the interest then changes to 6%. So from this time period all the way to the end is 6%. So now this is 6% per annum, and the 6% per annum is compounded monthly. Okay. It goes on to say 2 years after the money is invested, 10,000 Rand is withdrawn. So 2 years after the investment, 1, 2. So we had this one here. we are taking out money. So I'm just going to put it in red just to show that we're taking it out. And I'm going to put a minus again because we're taking it out. Okay. And there's all our information for our timeline. Now, because it's an investment, grade 11s, again, we're going to be using the compound formula. Okay, now let's focus on each one individually. So I'm going to look at the 50,000 first. So we've got A is equal to, so our 50,000 is going to be our P. So we've got 50. Now let's work out the interest bit. So it's going to be 1 plus. So our interest here is 8%. So you say 8 divided by 100 and you get 0.08. Now it's compounded quarterly. So compounded quarterly is 4. And how long is this going on for? It's going, and I'm going to use years, not months, because this is per annum, okay? So it is up to this point here, and we said that was 1.5. So this will be 1.5 multiplied by 4 for our quarterly compounds, okay? Then it changes. And again, I'm only going to look at the interest bit. We've already got our principal bit, so I'm just going to multiply it by the change in the interest. So it's 1 plus. Our interest now changes to 6%, so it's 6 divided by 100, and we get 0.06. Divided by, now it's compounded monthly, so that's 12. And how long is this time period going for? Now, from here to here is a half a year. And then it goes 1, 2. So we've got 2.5 years of this interest here. So it'll be 2.5 multiplied by 12 because our compound period is monthly. Right, so we've done the 50,000. Let's move on to this bit. So we're going to now subtract 10,000 because we're taking it out. And just like yesterday's lesson, we're taking out this money. And what we need to do is we also need to subtract the interest that it would have earned. Because if we left that 10,000 in there, that 10,000 would have earned the interest over this time period over here. So we need to take it away because we're taking it out. So here comes the interest bit, 1 plus. And you can see that this 10,000 falls within this interest period over here, which is 6%. So it's going to be 0.06. Divide that by 12 because our compound period is monthly. And how long is this compound period? It is 1, 2. So it'll be 2 times 12 because it's compounded monthly. And there you go, grade 11s. We've put everything into our formula, extracted everything from the timeline, and now we can just punch that into the calculator. Okay, so we've got 50,000, 1 plus 0.08 over 4 to the power of, now 1.5 times 4 is going to give us 6, bracket 1 plus 0.06, over 12 to the power of 2.5 times 12 is 30. Now, if you guys can't work that out, it's fine if you put it in here as 2.5 times 12. All right, minus. Now we're going to do this bit, 10,000. 1 plus 0.06 over 12 to the power of 2 times 12 is 24. Right, and we get a final amount of 54,124 and rounded off to 2 decimals, 66. And there's your answer, grade 11s. All right, guys, what I would like you to do is exercise 12.4, numbers 6, 7, 8, and 10 for me, please. Thank you.